Alia Al Ali, HSBC Youth Council President. Alia holds a bachelor degree in international relations from University of Sharjah with the highest honors and a master degree in strategic leadership from the Abu Dhabi University. Alia is an energetic people and goal-oriented individual who is passionate about connecting people, building bridges, and creating opportunities. She established of the very first youth council within HSBC and more. In the past 5 years, her experience with customer experience across MENAT has expanded her knowledge and experience, created vast opportunities of delivering on world-class experience, with covering several roles across the organization up to her current role covering MENA within the Global Investor Access in HSBC MSS, being the first and only young Emirati in the role. My pleasure to introduce her to the stage. Please, Ms. Alia Al Ali.
So, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. And to start off on this special occasion of the International Women's Day, I think today we don't only celebrate women, and I'm a person who is against that idea of comparing women to men and, you know, the demographics, where do we stand, where did we stood yesterday, and so on. It's more of each complementing one another, especially when we live in a society or an Emirati society where everyone adds and complements and supports each other. It's more like a puzzle. Each piece fits in a specific location to create that big picture that everyone would be mesmerized with. So today I'm going to speak about something a bit different. When I was discussing with Khulud, she was like, come and speak about something related to leadership and women. And I was like, why do we keep on repeating women, leadership, and women? Yeah, I feel like it's somewhat outdated. So I was thinking of speaking about something that is close to my heart, speaking about youth, emerging leaders, which is closer to my area, and then perhaps talking about barriers or stereotypes that blocks the pathway for young generations. So let me just use this one, it's easier. So challenges, stereotypes, emerging leadership, and barriers. So many of us knows the idea of stereotypes, I hope yes, and it would be, I think, let me start it in a different way. What stereotypes are about? I'm expecting an answer. Can someone help me? So it won't be one-sided. I'm promising you it's a more thought-provoking session. So I'm asking a question, and I would expect an answer. Yes, Jacqueline?
Generalized ideas.
Yes.
On biases.
Biases, correct. Yes, over there.
We can judge personality through the personal appearance.
Exactly, okay. Someone over there raised, yes, okay. Perceptions, yes, okay. So over here is a video that I'll play, and then we can reconvene with thoughts. I hope it works. They told me it would work. Okay. So basically that video gave a message of stereotypes. It simplified the idea of what the society brings into us. And to youth specifically, stereotypes stands especially in a corporate world where people would judge us, would either put us into buckets, and it would be more of sampling youth into those analysts, trainees, people who would shy away, people who would want to have fun, and things like that, and more or less the scenarios that we often hear. But the reality is, behind each and every youth, there is a vast background, ideas, aspirations, talent, where we can all together bring something different to the table. And more or less, the setback would be simply because of age, nothing else. So who are you, the real you? How is the society, the copy of you, and why? So I recall once, back then when I joined HSBC, it was somewhat in 2019, I had a conversation with a coach. And I told him, I'm facing a very, very big challenge where I don't know how to act in front of senior leadership versus my real Alia. And he looked into me and he was like, what do you mean? I said, I see my fellow friends or colleagues acting very formal in front of the CEO. And for me and to me, I act simple. I'm authentic to my real Alia. And he kept quiet and he started laughing. And I said, why? What's funny about it? He was like, you're learning through others. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're comparing what's the correct thing, what's the even better to have, and what's something that you don't want to do at all in the way that you represent yourself. And then he gave me a book called How to Act Like a CEO. And I was like, I don't want to act like a CEO. I just want to be me. And he was like, you would be the best to act in front of the CEOs or any senior leader as long as you read the room. So you can act very formal if it requires, if it's a serious meeting, and you can act very normal if it's an informal setup. And by that, I mean the copy of you. Are we copies? Well, I don't know. Everyone needs to answer that, but between yourself. How is the society? Do we get a quote of being formal, dress up in a specific way? Do you speak in a specific tone, dialect, whatsoever? And who are we? Are we all in alliance with who we are or not? Obviously, this is all social constructed in a way or another, but not everyone would consciously is aware of it. So take a second to think, and always think twice, simply because judgments, conceptions, judgments, and things like that would affect many of our decisions and things that we do. Okay, and then leadership stereotypes. So as discussed in our minds, we put people and roles into silos and categories. So we would see a young lady and we would say, no, she wouldn't fit in a specific role, working, let's say, in global markets with traders. It's a very cruel environment, white men, male-dominated, they're outgoing, they're tough. So a lady won't fit in there, even though women, with her soft power, could change many things, I would say. We have expectations of peoples and roles that are often based on our views rather than the person who might actually have the right to speak upon himself, prove himself or herself, and so on. We maintain preconceived notions about such people and roles. So you would see in certain organizations, people would put specific, let's say by age, by nationalities, by gender, and so on and so forth. So what we really need is to look beyond stereotypes. So leaders don't emerge fully formed. They develop and grow over time. They make mistakes, they fail, they succeed. This journey is a crucial part of emerging leadership. And I don't know how many of you ever heard before of an emerging leader. We all hear transformational leader, transactional leaders, but what about emerging leaders? It's another question, so people please react. I can see people on their phones, and I'm a very mean person. I can pinpoint people. So how many people or how many of you have heard about emerging leaders? Few. And from the term emerging, it's simply emerging from something, right? So young people emerge from experiences. Leaders of today transform emerging leaders who are basically young leaders. And why did I choose this topic is basically Ever since I learned about leadership, they gave us big names. They rarely referred to, let's say, Her Excellency Shamma, who's a young leader. They rarely pinpointed people in an organization. Whenever we have, let's say, assemblies or programs or events, they tend to bring in big leaders. They rarely refer to the younger ones, unfortunately. While that is simply because of the age. Of stereotypes, emerging leaders, the next question would be, what do we really need to emerge? How can we excel? How can we reach our full potential? And the answer would be through real leaders. And real over here, because I'm an HSBC-made young lady, I would say real is an acronym that stands for recognition, empowerment, authenticity, and leading by example. Obviously, these characteristics or behaviors would stand within a real leader. And for us to be real, people and leaders, we would simply need to recognize the good deeds of others. So recognize whatever you do, what other colleagues do, recognize the good deeds, because what gets recognized gets reinforced. Second, empowerment. And when I say empowerment, both the psychological and the actual empowerment. And the difference in here, actual empowerment is basically by giving the tools to this young leader. And psychological empowerment is actually by trusting them, empowering them, let them build and let them reach and deliver. Second is authenticity, and that's the story of acting in front of CEOs and senior leaders, is by being authentic to yourself, who you are. Be it your identity, be it your culture, be it your religion, be it from where you come from, because every single person in this room is actually an ambassador of the family, of the country, of the region, of the religion, and so on and so forth. And lastly is leading by example. Remember that life, as I began, is more or less similar to a puzzle. Each person would fit in a way. We always struggle to fit the pieces, but at the end, each piece, after once, twice, and trying thrice, you would fit into a big picture. Another example is I see people as, you know, the domino game. So each piece of this domino, if is put in the right place, would have that ripple effect. And change, if a positive change is made, it's going to start from us, and it would affect others. As I said, young people would bring to the table a lot of brilliance when it comes to creativity, their vibrance of creativity, innovation, their fresh blood, fresh thoughts, out of the box, and they always think without being framed or boxed in a way. So I would end with a last note, which is the greatest contribution of a leader is to make other leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that it's very important to have youth leadership combined with the world that we already knew, with how the world is evolving. So thank you so much for your presentation.